All right, guys, welcome back to the Odyssey Podcast with your hosts, Kriston and Jerome. And I realize this is the first time I ever introduce us in the intro. If you're tuning into the long form, we appreciate that, taking time out of your day. But, it's not wasted time. We really put a lot of effort into making it something that's impactful, educational, insightful through the stories of our guests. So if you're new also, and that sounds interesting to you, subscribe, like, comment, share the videos. And as per usual, we have another banger for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And this is probably the most self-conscious I've been for any interview thus far. Because in my opinion, we're interviewing the Caribbean's best interviewer today. Yeah, for those of you living under a rock, we have with us Mr. Daniel Loveless. He's a man who's made an entire career out of his venture, What You Know, which was stopping people in the streets and asking them questions they probably should know. And hint, hint, they most times did not know. And this led to viral videos. But beyond the viral moments, Daniel is a self-made entrepreneur. He's an interviewer who's done it all from random street interviews to sitting down with top Caribbean celebrities like Vybz Kartel. He's a man on a mission to educate and entertain people about the Caribbean and leave something meaningful behind. So Daniel, thank you so much for joining us here
Thank
today.
you for that amazing intro, man. I'm honored to be called the Caribbean's best interviewer. I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, we're gonna find out today how you made it to this stature.
Yeah.
Right, so the first thing I have for you, picture this, right? Picture there's a movie being made about your life, a biography, if you will.
Right.
And before all of that, what scenes of this movie are we going to see at the beginning to kind of understand the brought up see of Daniel or anything that impacted him? This could be people, this could be anything that happened. What comes to mind with that?
What comes to mind, is, my upbringing. I grew up in a single parent home with my mom alone. And I think I learned a lot from her work ethic. She would get up early and go to work. She drives bus for the Public Transport Service Corporation. So I would see her dedication, and I learned a lot through her. So you would see that. You would see me learning to get up early. You would see me learning to budget. You would see me, being alone a lot of the times, reading a lot. I was always inquisitive, reading a lot of books, playing Sudoku, trying to solve crosswords. I was always into technology, so I was real geeky and nerdy. They would see me always trying to be the best in class, always trying to top the class, just always trying to be the best at anything that I did. Somewhere in there, you would see a lot of cameras because when I completed secondary school, I went into photography. So I was always intrigued by cameras and social media and technology and IT. So you would see a nerd, you would see an outgoing guy who always wanted to be the star of everything, in any environment that I was in, whether it be around adults or whether it be in school. I just always wanted to be the star, the center of attention, and I did what it took to be that center of attention. So I think you would see a lot of those scenes. You would even see me in my mom's car waving to the mountains, imagining that there were people waving back at me, imagining that I was someone influential in society. So those would be some of the scenes that, yeah. In my mind, I was famous. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And so all these books you were reading and wanting to top people in class, judging from your personality, I would have swear you was like a troublemaker or something, but you was a studious student.
Very much so. Really? I think What You Know, when I started, and just the vibe of the show and the the funniness of it and the comedy aspect of it, people didn't see that side of me, but very, very studious, very, dedicated to academics. I love academics, graduated with a business management degree with honors, so I always love academics, always love writing, always love reading, very, very nerdy, but I just happened to be thrown into a career where, it looks cool, so people just don't see that side,
And how were you thrown into that career, What You Know? Or was there anything before that led to that?
Yeah, I think a lot happened before, when I
Are you going to do that time?
when I was in Form 5, so I went through Forms 1 to 5, I was never really liked much in school because of the fact that, I was always bright. I was always, smart in class. And sometimes the smart children in class are never really the most liked. Some other students would consider me back then annoying or, a little sickening. They used to call me, I don't know, for a reason why. Because I used to talk a lot. And I used to like to outshine people, in terms of trying to write the best essay, trying to answer all the questions in class. But when I got to Form 5, and there was the rise in social media, I started to try to fit in a lot by posting a lot of statuses on Facebook. And I became what we called back then in my time a Facebook wetty. Yeah, that's what they would call it. Well,
what's that?
I'm from the East.
Sure. Yeah. So, wetty sounds like a wet man.
A wet man, yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
It's a wet man.
So in my teenager days, there was that phrase, and I was one of those, a Facebook wetty who had plenty likes on Facebook and stuff. And that's where I fell in love with the attention on social media, and just because of the fact that I wasn't really liked from Forms 1 to 4. It's like when I got that, it was like a boost for my confidence. It's like, oh, now they like me. So I understand the cheat code to making people like me by probably going to the mall on Saturdays, taking some cool pictures, and posting the funniest status that, I could possibly post. And, when I completed secondary school, I actually started to do some little skits, very similar to what, Samson and these other guys would do. And I'm basically trying to find myself in that department. Enrolled in doing a business management degree just because everybody was going to do a degree. So I was like, probably I should do one as well. I don't even know why I chose business management, but I just chose it. And then I went into it, and I also went in simultaneously into the world of work while I was doing my degree. So my first job was at WebSource.
All right.
And I was like a customer service representative there while simultaneously studying my business management degree. And while working there in the first month, I realized the world of work wasn't for me. I had too much of a exuberant personality that needed to be just let out. So I remember taking my first month's salary at WebSource, and I bought a camera. I left the job, and I bought a camera, and I decided that I would become a photographer.
Okay.
And that was the start of my journey into the entertainment career. Before What You Know. So I started to do photography. I trained myself in being a photographer.
Oh, so you had no experience?
I had no experience, just YouTube. So YouTube is where I learned about aperture and f-stop and shutter speed and these type of different things. And I purchased the camera and I became a photographer. And my goal was to buy a car.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll do the photography, I'll save money, and I'll buy a car. And I quickly worked my ranks way up the ladder in terms of photography. I would go to these clubs and just shoot for free. I would shoot different models for free just to build my portfolio. At one time, I was working at Vast Nightclub. So I'd go from Vast Nightclub to Roscoe's to Aria and Coco Lounge and all these different clubs. And, I would shoot for free. And eventually, I started to get a little small rate, a little $300.
Right.
And those were the days of being a photographer, many to I remember walking from the avenue straight, because I lived at Rima. So I remember walking from the avenue straight to Independence Square to get a maxi to go home, because I didn't want to call my mom to drive down to town to pick me up, because she wasn't too on board with this photography thing.
Oh, true, she didn't.
Yeah, she found me out late at night. You're doing it for free. What are you really doing with your life? Go and study,
Yeah.
And, I saved up my money through that, and through becoming a better photographer, I was able to become the photographer for Fayan and Bungie Allen.
Really?
Yeah.
A big jump from free to... How that work out?
They came at Vast at night, at one night to perform, and I took a picture of them. And they hired me for the carnival season, so...
That's
a big breakdown.
Yeah, basically. And in that same time, what simultaneously happened was that I was attending a church in Malabar, which is where I'm from, and the youth leader of the church recommended that I, try doing like something of my own, like, probably a show or something like that. And he had the idea for the social experiment, where we would go out on the streets and ask people a bunch of different questions. And he thought that I had the personality for it. So I was like, okay, it sounds like a good idea. And we really went out on the streets, Carnival Saturday, 2016. And, you know, I created a list of questions like who's the prime minister? What are the national birds? You know, who was the first president? And I just went out, and I remember him setting up the camera because he was into camera works for the church. And I remember him setting up the camera, and he was like, "We'll do an intro." And I just remember taking the mic, and I was just like, "Trinidad and Tobago, it's your boy Daniel, and we are out here in Port of Spain, and we come out to ask this simple question that we ask on the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, what you know."
So that was from the first episode you had that intro?
Yes, yeah. That is where the intro was created. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, he told me to do an intro. So the proper thing to do is to say my name. And, you know, we're going out to do what you know. And that's where the whole what you know concept, you know, came about. And we went out on the streets of Port of Spain, asked people questions. And I mean, I didn't think that it would become anything at that point in time because I thought it was just, you know, a social experiment. And then before that, I was accustomed to doing things for likes, you know. So to me, it was just another thing, you know, just to build, you know, fame on social media, something people might like. And I mean, I forgot that. And about 3 weeks later, he gave it to one of his friends who edited it. And I remember when we got it back and I looked at it, I was like, this shit real funny. Maybe we could be on to something. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself like, wow, I could really see myself in a career like this. I felt like I found it. Because I was doing all these skits on social media and, you know, I was just doing these little statuses and people were just liking it. But I never really felt like I found that thing that I could really just be in.
Yeah, something tangible.
Yeah. And when I got it, I remember thinking, yeah, boy, I'll find it. And I remember at that time, you know, I just put it out on my personal Facebook profile. I didn't have a page or anything at that time. So I posted it up to my Daniel Loveless Facebook profile. And in one day, it was like 500,000 views. It just went viral.
First one?
Yeah, first one. Right off the bat. Wow. Everybody just took it. I mean, so it was 50-50. I mean, 50% of the people liked it. And then 50% of the people was like, nah, you're making fun of people and et cetera, et cetera. I didn't mind because it's like, yo, views.
500,000.
Views.
First go was crazy.
And I mean, that was the inception of what you know. I decided to change it from what you know to what you know. And that is where I created a Facebook page for it. And I say, well, you know, I just decided that I would do some more of it. And while working with Bungie and Faye, and I was in the circles of like Marshall and these other different soca artists, and they would always tell me, what you know, spell Trinidad. And I would feel so happy, you know, in that moment. And I think it's within that carnival, this season, I decided to give up the photography because I like that idea of being popular. Like I like the idea of when I was walking in a party with Bungie and Faye and people were looking at me too. And I was like, nah boy, I like this feeling, you know, that people are recognizing me as well. Probably I could make something out of it.
So people were recognizing you from that first video, or like how much?
Yeah, from that one video. And I think that at that time there was no influencer culture, there was no shows like it, there was no other people like me. Right. Probably Samson was now on the rise doing his thing, but probably he was like the only person there. So it was just me. It's like, so, you know, everybody embraced me. It was a concept that was probably not familiar in Trinidad and Tobago. So it was like the kind of first of its kind. Not that it was never really done in Trinidad, but to the extent of the virality of it, it's like it's the first time that they saw something like that. So people would recognize me in the streets, and you know that would be a cool feeling.
Yeah, of course. And 100%. Like as you said, it was the first of its kind in that period of time, and for something like that to work, you had to get sponsors on board. Yeah. I mean, besides from like getting paid from YouTube and thing, but I guess the sponsors is really where the money is at.
Yeah.
How did you get sponsors on board back in that time to get behind like such a kicksy brand? Because I mean, back in the day, these because you were partnering with companies like biggest established companies in Trinidad, which operate in a very old school manner. So how you got them to get on board with that brand, or did they just not care and say views?
No, I would say it's a story of resilience and hard work, you know, and a story of not giving up. Because I remember when I did the first one, a literacy organization from Trinidad and Tobago would have reached out to me. And I would say that they were the first persons that really wanted to partner with me in a sense. But what they wanted to do was to adjust the format of the show. And they wanted to, like, for instance, they didn't want me to include the memes in the show at that point in time because I found that it was making fun of literacy and stuff. So it's like
the reactions.
the reactions. And
That's part of the checks.
and me being young and, you know, not really understanding, probably, you know, with my knowledge, you know, I might have dealt with it differently back then. But me being young, I didn't like that. So I decided that, nah, I ain't gonna do that. And what they did was that, being an established literacy organization, they went on to go to these different media houses and essentially it became a debate between me and them on social media, in that now they say, you know, the headlines were like, literacy organization slams out against What You Know, new popular show, etc. So I remember, like, at night, 7 p.m. news, I remember I on the news. And the news titled it like Alta versus What You Know. So it was like, but it felt good back then. I mean, I was young. So in my opinion, I was like, I never received this level of national attention on this scale. So I was excited. And what I did, because I know that would now hamper me working with any sponsors or so. So what I did was that I remember going in the streets of Chaguanas and I used all the news clippings, this literacy organization versus What You Know, and I put it at the beginning of an episode, and there I was back. Back again, here I am, I ain't going nowhere. And I remember just continuing with it. And but what is yeah, now they can't stop me. I like what I'm doing, you know. And I remember when I went back on the streets now, I added in fun facts now.
Right.
Because back then I didn't have no fun facts. I was just highlighting what people spelled incorrectly and I would put in the text. And, you know, I really think they had a point. So me saying this now is not to bash them in any way. I think they did have a point, but I was young and immature and in my feelings. So it's like, you know, I just acted how I could have acted back then.
You was really young too.
Yeah, I was like 17, 18. So it's like I added in the fun facts. I did take the advice and I added in the fun facts. And I started to polish the show a little more. And through the consistency, that is how I was able to get different sponsors on board. Very slowly, you know, I remember one of my first sponsors being like a resort in Toko or something like that, and they gave away like an entire weekend stay. Right. So I started very slowly, and then, you know, I would charge, I think, like 200, and then I raised it to 500, and I just keep raising it, just, you know, till I could have, you know, till the highest I thought I could have raised it. Really? And I just kept working with different people. I kept marketing myself. I came up with different packages. I would study online as to like how to create proposals and stuff. And I started creating my own little proposals. And through that, I was able to work my way up, you know, working in the corporate space. And that's how I started to get corporate sponsors on board.
And how
to trust the brand.
How long after till you said, I can't do this full time? Were you doing it full time from the beginning?
Yeah, from the jump. As soon as I give up the photography.
Because it's part-time with school and then...
Yeah.
So you're doing that and school at the same time?
Yes, I was doing that and school, which eventually when the career started to take off, I put a break on school for a little while. I went and I finished. Okay. But so I would I just went into it full time. I was like, yeah, this is it.
Right.
This is, and I'm a person when I like something, which could be a good and a bad thing. When I like something and I invested in something, I'm going all in. Regardless of what might be the possible losses in it, I don't care. I'm going all in. Because I remember when I was considering stopping school to pursue it full time, I remember a lot of my lecturers, even my mom, telling me like, nah, like you have something to fall back on. But I was so passionate in this, is What You Know, I sure it could work out.
It was working, you was getting money.
Yeah, and I mean the point was that, listen, Daniel, the hype will die. That was always the argument that people would, and I would always want to work hard enough to show them that not with me now. They would want to say the hype would die down. How often you go ask people questions? People go get fed up by it. It going to have a point where it starts to decline, which I mean that point came, but here I am still trotting and still rising.
School will always be there.
Yeah, it will always be there.
I could go back, but
and I went back and I finished, and you know, but I was eager. I was all sold on this career. I just felt like this was it. I don't know what it is, boy, because I have no real reason as to have many other things I could have done. But it's just like I just felt a gravitation towards this career.
Of course.
I mean, it was working. Huh?
Yeah, it was working, you know.
Besides, there were some people who were like upset that you're like making people look bad, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's people. So
but like
I just made the peace with that. I was like, not everybody gonna like what I do.
That's not
die small thing.
Yeah, that's
I'm still gonna do it. Yeah,
No matter what you do, everybody ain't gonna like it anyway.
yeah boy.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any wild stories from while you're doing those interviews? Anybody like start to lose their mind when they answered questions wrong? Anyway, no?
I mean, luckily, I never get into any experiences like that. I mean, I think that because of my personality, that I would show people in the moment. You know, I think that I was lucky enough. I mean, I had people who reach out and say, "Hey, take long that interview," like things like that. But I mean, in terms of any wild stories, nah. Because how I would approach people back then, even before I got them to do the interview, is that I would treat them like I knew them a long time now. So it's like that was my strategy. So if I'm walking on the road and I'm on there, I'd be like, "Hey, you know, I leave home this morning knowing I come in the interview. You want to win 1,000? Come on in, come and try a thing." And they would be a part of it, you know. So it wasn't a case where I just put the camera in their face and just start recording, which people always had the perception that it was like that. So sometimes people would see me and they would run and I would just roll my eyes. That get real sickening over the years because it's like, bro, I'm not going to hold you down to try to ask you some questions. It's like, I'll get your permission, we go talk a little bit and then we start recording. So
So the prize thing that came in when you started getting sponsors, or you was giving?
no, I was giving on boys from the beginning, burning cash. You know that is what a lot of people didn't know as well. Now, like, you know, sometimes I gain a man 1,000 and I my last 1,000. I reach the 5th question and I'm hoping he answer the question right. He spelled Blanche shares correct and they're like, wait, boy, and they're like, hey, congratulations, my brother, what I take it, you know. I give out a lot of money on the streets. Like, even sometimes at Christmas, I used to do these shows where I would give out like $10,000, I think, to one person. And some of that money was like 2,000 by 5 from sponsors. Mm-hmm. So it's like a lot of my career I would have give out money that I didn't even really benefit from now.
Like Mr. Beast, by everything. But that's the thing, though. Like the Mr. Beast model, all the money he makes, he's basically spent it on his videos, and that is lead to him getting a larger following.
Yeah, boy.
So it clearly works. But where you was getting money from at that point, or you were just living off what you made from photography?
No, well, I took the photography money and I bought a car, bought a Matrix.
I get the car.
Yeah, that was my first car, and then from there, through the sponsor money, right? So it's like, imagine a sponsor, if they pay a 2,000 and I give out, I'll just give out, and I'll always go out and do episodes now. So it'll always be a case where it's like, I just get sponsorship money for like an episode, and then I always giving out that money. So the sponsorship money was sometimes never enough to sustain me, but I mean, I could have been stingy and just like keep the money and not give the people money on the streets, but you know, it was the whole concept. At the end of an episode, you would see somebody win money. So it's like, and then sometimes I would make these wild decisions and be like, if you do this, you win 5,000 today, because I always wanted to make it bigger every time. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the 1,000 wasn't working. Sometimes I do 2,000. Sometimes I do 2,500. Yeah, I give away a lot of money on the streets. Yeah. So it would just be to get sponsors, give out, and then it was just like a cycle. But it was exhausting. I was broke sometimes, but it didn't matter. I loved what I did. So yeah.
You have any? I mean, you did so much interviews. It'd probably be hard to ask you this question, but you have any moments that stand out to you that really crack you up?
Boy, I don't know if it's a thing with me where it's like I was so in the moment every time that it do have that one moment that stand out. Like I was just always focused on, all right, I do it. Where's the next step? And I think that mindset has led me to some unimaginable places. Yeah, of course. Because it's like I would do an interview and then I would just move on to the next one. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, with this new format that I'm doing, I have a concept in my mind, which I feel like I used to live by that concept before. Unconsciously, is like, or subconsciously, is like I felt like I'm only as good as my last interview. Mm-hmm. So even if I do a good interview today, I put out, it's done. Next interview. Yeah. So I never really took plenty time to reflect and sit down and say, oh, this was a good interview. This was my favorite. Because my last interview is always my favorite. You know, so I think I pushed that mindset into just making it bigger and bigger and bigger every time.
And as you say, as you mentioned, a new format there.
And I think I even take it from Trinidad, and then I started to go up the Caribbean with the old format too.
Right, that's what I was
So
going
we
to
could
say.
even-
I have the up the islands, but I don't know if
Right.
you only started doing that with the new format.
Nah,
The new
yeah.
format. Okay, well, yeah, because
And some of that you was doing out your pocket too, the traveling.
Yeah, bro. So what I started to do is like
getting money from, bro. Expensive.
over the years, the audience started to grow so much that people would now say in the comments, "Oh, you should come Guyana and do this, or you should come Canada and do this, or you should come here and do this." And you know, the idea came up in my mind. I was like, you know, it's probably a good idea. And then I would do these live videos, and I would tell people, "Yeah, I come in here soon. I come in here soon. I come in." And I didn't know I would do it, so I think I was a little scared because I never really traveled on that scale before.
Right.
And there was this guy who came to Trinidad, and I went to Hyatt for a meeting, right? A lady who, she's the owner of like a page on Instagram called The Good Quote. Her name is Roxanne. And when she came to Trinidad, she DM'd me and she reached out and she was like, "Hey, I'd like to understand a little more about Caribbean entertainment and blah, blah, blah. Love to meet up with you." I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." So I met her by Hyatt. We had some sushi, a little talk. And when I was leaving, there was this guy. And he was like, "Hey, what you know?" He said, "I'm from Canada and we love your show up here," whatever is the case. He's from Trinidad, but he just came for vacation or whatever the case. And he was like, I remember him telling me, "I'm a part of Drake's team and the OVO squad." But throughout my career, I've met many people who told me they could take me to the next level. So I didn't really take him too serious. But I sat down and I line with him. And I remember him telling me that he would bring me to Canada because he was having a show in Canada. So he would bring me up just to do my thing. He didn't even want anything or anything like that. He just want to bring me up. I was like, "Yeah, okay, bro. Okay.
Right,
Gonna bring me to Canada. Send him my documents and you get me visa." And I wasn't taking him on. So, you know, we hung out a little bit and then I left. And then when he got back to Canada, I already sent him my documents because I wasn't trying to miss the opportunity.
Of course.
And, you know, he sent me the letter. I went, I got my Canadian visa. He booked the flight. And bro, I was on a flight to Canada. My first time out of Trinidad doing what, you know, I remember being so excited. I'll never forget the flyer that I posted. It was like, "What you know, in Toronto." And I was real excited because it's like, you know, after years, probably about 3 years of doing what you know, and people saying that, you know, what next or how much time I go ask people this question or that question. It was like a F you to the haters and like, take that out. I'm going to do something somewhere else. So I remember being real excited about that. And I remember touching on in Canada and just looking, I was just me alone because my cameraman at the time got denied for his visa. So I just said I'm going alone. Me, my camera, my tripod, and I out. And I remember going to Canada and, you know, I got someone to assist me in just doing the recording because I knew how to program the camera. So just to put it on the tripod, set it up, just press a button. So it was easy for me to show anybody to do that. And I remember going out there in Canada, bro, and doing my first episode of What You Know out of Trinidad. And that was like a real proud moment for me because it was like, after all the years of working, here I am now. And then I got a taste of a different lifestyle. I was up in a 5-star hotel. Outside, eating, seeing. It was so cool because at that time I used to wear headbands and shirts. So I out here on Dundas Square in Canada, and I remember doing the episode and putting it out, and people just loving it. I remember people being so proud, like, "Yeah, boy, you know, from Trinidad and Tobago, you make it outside." And when I came back home, I said, "Nah, boy, you know, you leave and you go and do this. You go and go back on the streets of Trinidad and continue to do this." Like, I said, "Nah." I said, "Nah, it can't work at all." And then I remember when I would go Independence Square, I would go, you know, Gasparilla, San Fernando, Arima, and then the faces start to become similar. Like, I know everybody, I know all the street vendors. I was like, "Nah, boy, I could explore the world some more." But I didn't have a US visa. I was like, "All right, I go do Caribbean." So I remember going to a few sponsors, doing my episodes in Trinidad, taking the money from that now, and I booked a flight, and I went Guyana. Because I had a large following there. I went Guyana, same thing. I do my thing, come back home, I say, "All right, cool, you do it." Me alone, treading the world alone. Just me alone, me, my camera, my tripod. And then I would post on Facebook and say, "Hey, fans are outside in Guyana, me and the whole team." And then when fans reach out, fans would help me to record the show. So I would show them how to record or whatever. Whoever looks safe enough and had a good enough vibes.
See the camera going.
Yeah. And they would help me. And I did that. So I do Guyana, I come back home broke. I grind again. I do a few episodes in Trinidad. I take the money, go send loot back. And I just went the whole Caribbean doing it. What you know? Across the whole Caribbean. And I remember I reached St. Lucia. And it had a hurricane watch or something at that time. And I was like, I wonder if I could get through with a visa if I apply for it. Because I'm a quiet time now, I ain't doing nothing. I apply for it, and I say, well, boy, I'm going with God. Hopefully I get through. Because I got denied for a visa like 3 times before.
Right.
As a child, my mom, me get denied. And then I try again, I get denied. As an adult, I try again. I try again. And I remember I signed up at the interview and I come back home. And I went into the interview. And I decided not to go like dress formal like how people let's go. I said I go in my headband and my jersey, my floral shirt, and I go. And I remember when I went, the woman was going to deny me, you know. It was safe, my boy. The workers in there, they knew me now. So the lady who interviewed me, she's American. And she's there like, so you want a visa to travel, to ask people questions? Because that was my explanation. I say, well, yeah, let's do the show where I travel. I'm a YouTuber. I ask people questions and I want to go to the States to do my show. And I remember her being so confused and the people behind, I was like, hey, what you know? So I remember looking back and say, what you know? What do you do? And whatever. And I remember she handed me a paper that was a temporary refusal. So they need to investigate more. And that happens in rare cases. It's either you get it or you don't get it. And I got a temporary refusal. And I was like, wait, boy. Like, you know, I feel like I was going to get declined again. But after in about 3 days or so, I got the email saying that, okay, I get through. You go get a passport. I get a visa. And I was out. One time, bro. And I started to do these bigger tours now. So I was in one Caribbean country at that time. As I tell you, I like to overdo it. So I went Guyana. Now I started to do like 3-4 countries at the same time. So it was like New York, Miami, Jamaica, this, that. Boy, and I started to just go all over. I reached the States, I reached Las Vegas. What you know was all over the place. And that is how I started to develop a culture of traveling the world now to do the show. And that is how I became a touring show. Essentially, I was broke, you know, because it's like
money in, money out.
Money in, money out. I come home and then I start up and I start using my credit card now. So I paying out all the money from the credit card to travel now, and I come back home. So it's double work now to get back the money, to pay back the credit card, and to take care of myself, and to travel more. I was doing it, bro. I just kept doing it. I didn't stop. I reached all Dubai because I started to say, nah, Jamaica is not enough. Miami is not enough. Dubai. I go on Dubai. But I just started to go all over the place. Just in the name of love. And I just love what I do. And I wanted to prove it to myself and to people that, I could do it. I could reach all these places by myself. I go in.
Where was your favorite place to go?
My favorite place to date to this date is Thailand. I really enjoy Thailand.
You went quite there?
Yeah. Not to do what you know.
Oh, you just went to vacation?
Yeah, I went to vacation the other day. I always wanted to leave Trinidad, pick one place, and then from there just decide where I was going. So I tell myself I work so hard, I deserve a party. And about a few months ago, I went all over the world, bro. My first stop was Houston. And at each destination, I decided where to next. So from Houston, I booked a one-way flight to Houston. Then from Houston, a one-way flight to LA. Then from LA, a one-way flight to China. Then from China, a one-way flight to Thailand. Then from Thailand, a one-way flight to Singapore. And I just went all over the world. I leave my phone home. I didn't go with no phone. I buy a new phone. I buy 2 phones now. Because I leave one phone home and I say I'm leaving my life behind. And I go in and look and see what life is really about.
And that was your first real vacation, or this is the first biggest one?
That was my first real vacation, because everything else was always work now. It was always focused on what you know, and it was even hard to even leave my camera home. I left with one outfit.
I thought you would have went to the camera.
I lived with one outfit and I bought outfits in each places. But that was real fun, man. I feel like going to Thailand for a birthday.
Explain that feeling of like reaping the rewards of like all our hard work, because our first vacation off of your own money that you worked so hard for must feel so incredible.
It was a real good, boy. It was real. It's like a feeling I can't even describe. It was like a spiritual enlightenment somewhat. It's like, because I remember when I reached Singapore, I was like, wait, but it's like I was sitting on the plane in China and I couldn't believe, like, bro, in China, bro. And the plane, I the only black man on the plane there. I said, what the hell is this, man? Everybody watching me weird and thing, but I'm happy same way. A real happy same way. It was so clean, it was nice, the culture. But it was really nice. I'm glad I did that for myself. It was a highlight of my life.
Yeah, of course. We'll learn about people or culture even. We'll learn about yourself on that trip.
What I learned about myself, I just realized that, like, I remember when I reached Singapore, it was just so quiet. It was just so quiet and I was just in my thoughts, and I just realized that, the world is the same. That's the best way that I could explain it. Like, you might want to go out there and think that it has so much out there, but I went out there and experienced it all. And it just made me so grateful for life, and that I was always running from home for some reason. I was always eager to go away from home. And just being out there just make me value home so much more. Like, these days, I just enjoy being home. I don't try to run from home. I just enjoy being home. I like to experience my country from the eyes of a tourist, I like to value things. I like to live in the moment. So, I just remember being that final Singapore trip, I think take me to the next level, because as things start to wind down, I was like, all right, you're reaching another peak of your career and you want to reach another peak. And I remember saying, no, they're feeling devastated, but I'm trying to figure out how to reach to the next level. Right. Because at this point in time, I had done the rebranding, which we'll touch on. But I'd featured a lot of big guests in Trinidad and I wanted to venture out. I was like, how I could get Cartel on my show, boy? How I could get Shansia, Bounty Killer, and these kind of big guests on my show? No, okay, you don't do the soca artists, the big soca artists. You do a good few of them, popular in the soca arena. But how can the show get more popular now? And I remember just saying, no, I'm just trying to figure it out, and I came up with no answer. But when I reach home, it ended up still happening now. So it shows me sometimes that the intensity at which you think of things make it happen now. Right. Because I didn't come up with a plan in Singapore. I sit down in Singapore there in Starbucks in the middle of nowhere, just me and my thoughts, and it's like, I say, should I reach out to like an agency or something like that for them to represent me so that I could get to these bigger guests? Should I I remember DMing Vibes Cartel and DMing so much of people and just not getting a response. And I was like, oh gosh, how do I take it to the next level again? Because I don't take it to one level. How do I now rise to the next level? And just remember just feeling defeated, feel real sad. And I just ended up booking a flight and coming back home. And yeah, that was the end of my year. And then January just ended up being a wild one. But here I am, yeah.
Right.
It's crazy because that you mentioned on like outside is everywhere is the same, but it's not. It's the same because we're all people, right?
Yeah.
But like obviously it is different, like culturally. So like architecture might be different, the way people speak might be different, like people's manners might be different. But like that's also a weird thing about traveling because people kind of like idolize outside,
and
traveling, but like they don't realize, it's just another country where people struggle the same.
It's the same thing. It's the same like, exact thing.
If you have that mindset, I feel like you would just be disappointed when you reach outside. But if you go to like just experience the culture, which is different, right? Then you'll be satisfied. But if you go thinking everything's gonna be completely different, and
yes,
it's like something
and
missing.
I went in that mindset at first, trying to see this, trying to be wild now, but then starting to realize like it's the same thing, it's the same clubs, it's the same drinks, it's the same food, just different. As you say, the mannerisms it's a little different, but it's essentially the same thing now, and it's all a matter how you view it now. So it changed the way I view things, the way I view people. Traveling make me more patient. It make me see people differently. It just changed me completely.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, at this point, I think your mom's bought into the idea because at this point, you're doing
for sure.
When did her view on what you were doing change?
I think she just ended up just leaving me just to do what the hell I wanted. Like she was just supportive.
What you wanted.
You could do what I want, but she was always passionate about. The one thing I think she wanted was for me to finish my degree. That's why I finished it. I wasn't going to finish it, because I was like, bro, I have no need for it. I have, but it's like I knew that I did that for her. So when I went back there that day and I finished it, I did that for her. And it turned out to be a proud moment for me as well, you know, crossing the stage and hearing, you know, Daniel Roberts, honors. And it was like, wow, you know, it's actually feel good. And at this point in time, you know, already popular, so it's like the dopamine of it as well. The crowd clapping a little louder because it's me. You know, people shouting what you know while I crossing the stage. So that was a proud moment for me. And for her as well.
All right. So earlier you mentioned that the format had a switch in it.
Yeah.
You want to tell us, and I believe the soca song you did has something to play into this, but how did all this come about?
Right. Through doing what you know, I was working real hard throughout the years. But because of the nature of the brand and the nature of the videos, people started to take me a lot for a joke. And I didn't like that. I wanted to be respected for my hard work. I wanted people to admire the hard work that I do. Because as much as it was funny, I was asking people to spell Trinidad, they can't spell Trinidad, etc. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of investment. It was a lot of constant upgrades and cameras. It was like a lot of different things that I would do behind. It took a lot of work ethic from me. But I used to get from people like, it was just a joke. What you know? To my parties, men with a hand around my neck. What the F you know? It was just funny now. And I didn't like that. And, you know, because it's like...
It's my father.
Yeah. I reached a point where it's like I built this established brand. It was a joke when I started, but now it's like, it's a serious, you know? They're my bread and butter. And I wanted people to respect me.
And you're passionate about it.
I was real passionate about it. And then I travel in the world now when I'm doing this. So as much as it's funny, it's my job. So it's like, and much people then used to say like, you know, bro, I admire the hard work that you do to, you know. And I wanted to hear that. I think my ego wanted to hear that. Because like I feel like I'm working hard and I need people to tell me I'm working hard. And I always like soca music. To this day, love soca music. And I always toyed with the idea of singing my own soca song. And I would always do little demos on my phone and leave it and not do it. And I remember, you know, it had a specific year where I say, okay, I'll go do it, which was last year Carnival. And I say, you know what? I go do it. I go do the soca song. Because I hear any soca songs on the radio and things I'm saying, and the soca bug bite, man. So I go do it. So I reach out to a producer and he put me on to some writers. Kyle Phillips is the producer, and he put me on to some writers, Jonesy Music, and they wrote my song based on an idea that I had.
Right.
And I tell myself I'll take this as an opportunity to prove to myself and to prove to people I could work hard. Because it's like, I started to be, like, you know, because people constantly taking me for a joke, it's a joke thing. It's like, I started to take myself for a joke too now. I started to believe that concept. So I tell myself, like, nah, like, I just work as hard as anybody else. Like how people admire Marshall for being a hard worker or a perfectionist. That is me too. And I want people to respect me for that. So that's when I went in and I do the song. And I remember going to the studio, perfecting the song, singing the song. I remember investing a lot of money. I spent over $100,000. As I tell you, I just go all the way with anything that I do. So I put what you know on hold. I say, because usually with that money, I would be taking that money and just traveling like crazy, building the brand. I say, I put it now on hold. I'm doing that soca. Honestly, I went into it. Everybody is laughing at it, but it's funny to me too. I write a roadmap speech because I so much I believed in this song. Yeah. I was telling my friend Tedison John that he laughing at me. Yeah, I wrote a roadmap speech. Like I believed that I was coming into this thing and I dominated. Fetting Commissioner was the name of the song. Yes. I promote the shit out of the song and I was confident that like 30 days before the song release, I did promoting through different creative means and stuff. And it's like, I felt good. I felt even better than I felt doing what you know. Because it's like, no, I'm working hard. So it's like, yeah, I respect myself. Thing, the song release, you know, bam, this visualizer, I dropped the visualizer, everything going good. The first disappointment on the journey was that, you know, it wasn't really being played on the radio. And I thought that, you know, I sing a song, a popular, hopefully they might have played. That wasn't happening. I mean, my fans supported it, the flames in the comments. And I remember that now drop it. People were saying in the comments, wait, boy, it sound like Super Blue. Sound like a mix of Super Blue and Bungie. And I remember even in the studio, You know, I remember the producer, the writers, everybody like, they really like the song. So that went with my brain. I was real confident that this was, I remember going to Tobago Carnival and looking like at the people party and the song didn't release yet. And I was like, way boy, they don't know what going on. I thought myself, yeah boy, I get through. You know, I did and I visualizing, doing all the things that work in my career. I visualizing and manifesting and know that, yeah, I'm going to win this thing. Drop the song now. I realize it ain't really playing on the radio, but I still keeping my hopes high, you know. I listen to announcers on the radio and think I hear them saying, you know, Loveless and them song, we're not playing that garbage and thing. You know,
They sit down there?
Yeah. I interviewed the man on my show, kind of thing.
Crazy.
Yeah, but you know, so that started to take a little toll on me, but I didn't take it on too much. I said, boy, let me just keep pushing. You're deep in now. Because by this time I done $80,000 in a music video visualizer, high-end dancers for music video. So many different things. There's pyrotechnics, fire in the music video, all kind of different things. So now, Nyla Blackman decided that they would give me a blight to perform at their show as an opener. So that was my first official performance.
That's her show that she's having on.
Yeah, her opening show
for
for Carnival. So it's like I say, yeah, my first big performance thing, I excited. I am a dancers and thing, nice. But on the stage, I think I kill it. So I go on there, perform, thing, feeling good. You know, come off the stage, yeah boy, I saying yeah boy, I get through, like at least now people go see, now they know. I perform my thing well and thing. So I go in the crowd thing. My girlfriend at the time, she, you know, in the party, she just hit me. She said, babe, watch this. And I look at the phone now. A news house, eBuzz TT, posted my performance. Not in a malicious way. Because, you know, they're posting everything. It's like, Daniel Loveless media sensation takes the stage. And boy, the angle, I feel the angle mess me up. The angle at which they do this, as I open a tuna. So you don't have much people in the crowd. So it's like, yeah, boy, the comments started rolling. Yeah, you like to mess up people? Good for it. Good film. Mother's thing. Bam. It's good. You always putting up people and thing. Yeah. Thing. And boy, I drive a build and I cry. I want no talk from a girl at the time. No. I want no. I playing Patrice Roberts Anxiety. I drive a build with my glasses on and I cry. Because I say, why dog boy? Like it really cut me deep. Because, you know, I put my work into this now.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, no.
Behind it, real effort.
People are making a mockery out. And it's not only on Instagram now. It's on Facebook. It's on TikTok. It's all over now. And people sharing it more because it's me now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I try not to read the comments, but then I go and try and
to read the comments.
I was waiting on this day. And thing, and it's good for him, man, you know. Wow. And then people saying, he just want to come in this thing for a quick money grab and thing. Nyla didn't even pay me to come there, you know. It's like, I beg for the stage. Like, it can't be a money grab. It's I know I wasn't going to make back $100,000 on it. Although I thought I was going to win the road match, but that dream come crashing down. So it's like, boy, that happened. And then it's like, people calling me and hey Danny boy, what's going on? And you know, boy, I could not take it, boy. I could not take it. It took a real toll on me mentally. And I decided, it's like I quit in that department. I was like, bro, all right, I going back to what you know. But then by this time now, I done invest in this so much that clients didn't even really want to work with me on what you know again, really, because it's like, I now rebrand myself into this soca artist, and now it's like, kind of embarrass myself in a sense. So I tell myself, you know what? I going on tour. I go in and hit one country every month and do what you know. Because I was trying to now run from the backlash that I was getting from that. Yeah. Which brings me to my point as to why I say like soca saved me now. Like I'm glad it happened. Like in the moment, I probably wasn't feeling that way. Probably was a little down time for me. But I'm glad it happened. This is why. Because I went to Grenada in the midst of Carnival, in the heights of Carnival. I went to Grenada and I said, boy, I just go and do my show somewhere else. It's like, I know my show, I know what you know, there's what I'm known for. So it's like, and Caribbean people didn't know. It's only Trinidad they're laughing at me. So that is small thing with Trinidad. I big every way. So again, ego now. So I go on. So I reach Grenada. I do my show and thing. It popping off. People like it. Thing. Nice. Bust out Grenada. Come back Trinidad. Next country, Belize. Because remember now, my goal is to travel to one destination every month. And I'm trying to limit the backlash on social media. So it's like, no, I stop promote the song and all of that. I put that behind. So I reach Belize. And I remember the first clip I dropped. I asked a girl, how many days are there of the year? She said 5. Pour out the clip. But but the Belize, 5. It's crazy.
But sometimes you can't be bad for people.
But the Belize people didn't take it. No, I thought they would take it. Grenadian people like Bacchanal and like commerce but the Belize people a little more down to earth and quiet and respectful. So it's like, I mean, I went Belize already and the content worked, but here it didn't work at all. It's like people reaching out and saying, Daniel, I'm disappointed in you. What you go do with country that? How this man go come and making fun of people? And normally I doesn't care. But remember now, with the soca now.
Everything crashed.
With the soca now, I bothered now. It's like, now I'm in a zone where my ego, it crumbling a little bit. Before it was high, I don't care, we don't like my show, I big already or whatever the case. But now it's like, I started to say, wait, boy, my same fans who used to be supporting me now, I'm disappointing them. They feel like I'm messing them up and thing. Say, what to do, boy? And I remember calling my mom and I say, Moms, what to do, girl? I say, if I stop doing what you know, it's like, that all I know, that is all I invest into. Is like, so it's like, what else will I do now? Right. And I remember going out to Belize that day, and I decided I wasn't going out with any questions that day. I said, let me just go out and just vibes with the people and see what's going on. So I interview a man. I say, hey, what going on with you? He started to talk to me. I said, what you just do? He started telling me about his job. I said, all right, what's the biggest lesson life teacher, boy? He started telling me. And I started realizing that feeling good. Like for me personally, it was feeling good now. So I wanted to go in that direction. But remember, my audience don't know me for
kicks.
So I call my mom. I say, girl, what to do? Because I say, I like how this feeling, but I don't know if this will resonate with the audience. And, it's like I worried because my bread and butter is what I do. And it's like, soca is clearly not it for me. And it's like, if I go into this direction, people don't like it now. And then the pressure start to become heavy because people up the Caribbean now start to do the same format. What I just do. So I started to inspire people to do the same. And, some of them was getting more views than me. So it's like that and all started to bother me because it's like, I say, wait, boy, dog, boy, like I lost in it, or boy, what going on with my boy?
Could imagine how you're feeling now.
Yeah, boy, because it's like the soca fall through, and then here I am now, and they ain't really liking it, and I started telling myself, it's like, it go start to happen more now. It's like I'll go more countries and then go like how I do this, and it's like if I want to keep my corporate sponsors as well, because the other people who started to do it, they was doing it risky. They asking anything, but they don't have as much corporate sponsors as I do. So I say if I start to go on that raunchy side, like you ever had a threesome or you ever had what is it? It's like, will I be putting my brand in a different direction?
Yeah, sure.
So my mom told me, she said, boy, she told me something that I'll never forget. She was like, you're interviewing people all these years and you never understood how some of them probably would have felt now. And she said, you did your interview, which was that performance on the stage, and you don't like how people, what people saying about you and things. So she said, imagine a man who spelled Trinidad wrong. Imagine the co-workers and them, laughing at him. Imagine, somebody appear on your show, they say something incorrect, and it's like for the audience it's funny, but imagine how that person feels. She say, how you feel when you go up there and now people laughing at you. She say, you do your own interview and you featured in the interview and you don't like what the reaction. So she say sometimes you probably had to switch it up. She even tell me, she say, I being in her wanted to tell you, like son, somebody, content you're putting out and they really a little demeaning, to people and things, but you're doing your thing. So I leave in here and then I'm on my high horses, remember I traveling all over the world and things. So me ain't had time to study nobody telling me, but with the soca, as I said, humble manner. So I remember making a decision to just go in the direction of not doing any trivia questions, but just kind of going with the vibes, going with the flow. And I remember putting out one of the clips that I didn't believe, that interview, just randomly talking to somebody, they sing a song, the whatever. So I was no longer like aiming to bring out an incorrect answer from somebody, but I was now aiming to just bring out the human side of the person I was featuring. And it felt good for me. It felt good for them. And I remember I put out the first one, and the same thing like when I started donkey years ago, I put it out viral. I said, well, probably I want to something here. So I do our next one. I put it out. You know, at first people say, we missed the whole format or whatever. But I started to say, well, I have to do what feels right for me now.
Yeah.
That felt good in my heart. That I put out a piece of content, the people like it, and that person leave feeling good too. Yeah. So as I see that person again and I say, boy, you won't believe, how I feel reading what people say about me. And so I start to kind of make these random people on the streets now celebrities in their own country. So I say, yeah, boy. The vibe here. So I went to Belize and I still continue my one country per month. And I say with a different format. And it started to work because I started to bring out different sides of people. So sometimes I interview a man, his mother died and he go share that story and it resonates with people. I bring on the next man, he want to sing. Probably can't sing, but he sing anyway, whatever. People go laugh, but we laughing with him. We're not laughing at him. It's not me saying spell Grenada and he can't spell it. And we call it a dunce, but it's more, you sing, people vibes to it, whatever the case may be. And then I just continued to do that. I went to a good number, and then it started bringing tourism deals because tourism boards start to say, well, hey, we want to be a part of this. And it's a safe type of content now. Yeah. So things start to look up from me. And I tell myself, I go circle back on Trinidad and work on Trinidad soon. So I was excited to come back home. People still laughing at my home, But I said, that's small thing. Let them laugh. Yeah. So I go on Belize, and what I started to do, I started to rebrand myself in each island. Okay. So when I was going to each island, I would put out a flyer. Usually people would comment and say, "Oh, let's run when let's see this man." So I'd be excited every time I visit in a new country, and I read the comments because I know, well, I have no reason to run. It's like there's a new vibes you coming with, and I would do it, and I would capture the hearts of people. To the point now where all the countries I do it is like a massive day. It's like Antigua, Guyana, Barbados. And I started to do it. And then I came back home and I tried doing a few in Trinidad, but it wasn't reaching the masses. It wasn't reaching people. It's like, meaning it wasn't capturing a lot of views now.
Why you feel so?
I feel because, people were so accustomed to the commerce and the bacchanal. That what we like in Trinidad, commerce and kind of, so it's like the positive content was really doing really well. So I got this idea to feature a popular person to try to bring out the human side of them to see if people would react to that. And I would use that to capture the audience. So I called my boy Samson. Say, yo, I want to feature you. I have an idea here, I want to do an interview with you. And I remember doing the interview with him. And then one day, it's like people love this man. So it's like, and one day people saw it and it was like, waiting, what I really like that interview and thing. And people started to see me in a different light. And through bringing him on is where I got the idea, well, probably you could feature like celebrities as well. You could bring on celebrities and, but I want to say, take this time to also like give him his flowers as well, because at many points in my career, he lift me up in ways that I always tell him that, but he responsible for a lot of my success, I think, boy. Just by his presence and just by his ideas. And, he's always talk about it because at times in his career, he called me and I lift him up. And at times where I was low, I call him and he lift me up now. And at times many things, I would have never interviewed Vibes Cartel if it wasn't for Samson. Really? I would tell that story too, but he wasn't even stingy with the collaboration. He got the collaboration first before me. And he didn't even need to tell me about it. And him telling me about it gave me the idea. And I wasn't afraid to ask. I said, bro, you feel you could loop me in on that Vibes too? And he did. We went to Jamaica together and we link up with Cartel. I do his video, he do mine. And so we get to that story, but when I did that video with him is where I got the idea to do other people, and I started to reach out to other artists and stuff, and I started to feature different popular people, and and I realized like how much I love Dana, like I love bringing out the human side in people, and getting people to understand who people are beyond what you see, and through my calling it trauma with soca, and through my
that's trauma,
that is trauma, brother, man.
Through me wanting people to admire what I did and admire the hard work behind it. My goal is to now get people to admire who people are beyond just the success that they have or what they do. So you see Samson beyond the funny, the video is funny, but you see the human behind him. You see Marshall beyond all the hits. You see Wendy Fitzwilliams beyond just the title that she hold. You see Vybz Kartel beyond just the artists who serve in jail or who have all these hits. So, but you see him for the human being. And I love to do that too. It's like, that has been a humbling thing for me every time because I know that I wanted that for myself now. And I realized that is a niche that I tapped into. People like admiration. People like that. And a lot of people, as much as they're famous, they don't get it, you know. They just get the support on the songs.
Yeah.
And
it's not real
videos.
admiration.
It's not real admiration.
For the image that they put on
Exactly.
themselves.
So many a times I interview artists and they would call me and say, boy, you know, I never, you know, feel this way before. And that's so humbling for me to do that for them now. So it's like for me, it's not really about me too much now, but it's more about getting people to see the human being behind these people now. And that's why I hesitate for a little while to do an interview because it's like, I just so like putting people up, boy, and putting people on the platform to get people to see who's a human behind them because I know that I wanted it now. Like many of them. Like almost everybody who I do, they always call and say, hey, yeah, thanks for that video because it's like, you know, and even with some of them, I have seen it propel their careers as well. Because it's like, sometimes I interview a man now, and next 2 weeks I see you doing something bigger. And I know sometimes it's just reading something about yourself, you know. It's just reading somebody saying, I love Daniel so much and his work ethic, and he is so smart and he's so intellectual and and hearing them things about yourself could push you up so much that it is just be a blessing for me to do that for people now. And that is why, you know, that's why I did the rebranding and that's why I continue to go on this trajectory of doing this type of content just to kind of put people on a platform. And by extension, I mean, there's had a few comments about me, wow, Daniel's doing such a great job and thing, but I think that I no longer need the validation from people because I know I'm doing a good job. It's like I'm fulfilling my purpose. So it's like if people say they say it, I go take it, but I don't need it. I prefer to give people that push up. You know?
Ego less involved.
Yeah. That's okay, humble man. And same.
That's a good thing that happened.
Yeah, boy.
Take a little break.
Did any of your guests give you a feeling of like a wow?
Did any of my guests give me a Kes, boy? Kes, yeah. He had a real calm and spiritual kind of aura about him, boy. Yeah. You really humble, really humble guy. Even I mean, most of my guests, I just do the interview, we talk a little bit and I leave. I mean, I end up standing up, they talking to Kes for about 3 hours after, and he had band practice. Yeah, and in the road, we just stand up and we vibes in, and you really kind of invested into that moment with me. So that was really shocking. But every guest does have it's like it'd be shocking to just like to meet the human being behind the people you know now. Like even Cartel, like, you know, I remember pulling up to do the interview there and I was like, shit, like Cartel. Yeah, that changed so many things. Like
that's big.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him again to just tell him like how much he changed things for me now. Like that one interview changed so many things. It's like I remember doing an interview with Cartel, come back home to Trinidad, and I fly back to Jamaica the next day or two because it's like I start to, like when I DM artists and say, hey, I'd like to feature on my show. I recently featured Cartel. They respond one time, yes.
One time, yeah.
Yes. So everybody, Valiant, Bounty Killer, everybody. And I always use his name now. Yeah. And then I did Sean Paul too now. So I know it's like different markets now. So when I market in the Jamaican artist or just anybody who might know Vybz Kartel, I use his name. Like I featured Cartel. Oh yeah, when we doing it? No, like, and I always amazed, like I was there in Jamaica and it's like I have Valiant coming to meet me. Ding dong bong killer, and I just be like, whoa, like, bro, you get through, man, you know. So, you know, many moments I would do these artists and I would sit in my car or wherever and just scream and just be so happy now that I got the opportunity to do it. And then what has happened when I facing them in real, I just contain that excitement. I'm excited, but like I don't like to fan out now.
Yeah,
I try
of
to be
course.
cool because I know that'll creep them out now. So it's like when I met Carter, I was like, hey, Adisha, how you going? You good? And just real professional and like that. And so after doing I be some nice bathing when I go back to the hotel after doing Carter and I bathe and I scream and they cry, like dog tears, because it's like it's just so exciting for me, bro. I truly love my job, man.
Of course.
You don't get it. Well, I know you've done thousands of interviews, but you don't get nervous when you're meeting that caliber of person.
Oh boy, I don't know. I feel like I just don't know why. I just get accustomed to it. No, I just get and then after doing Cartel, I consider myself on a new level now. Not in an egotistical way, but it's like, I understand what dealing with a Grammy Award winning artist is like, dealing with a legend is like. So it's like I understand how to treat them, and that has even made some of them turn into my friends, and that I could call them and we could talk, and I hit them up, and because I don't act like a fan, but I treat them like a human being. I check in on some of them, you Marshall, I message him sometimes like, bro, you good? Like I don't want anything, I just touching base. What you seen with you? If I see a little meme, I go send him, think you go laugh, we go talk, something. I just call him, oh bro, what's he seen? And we just talk. So it's like I prioritize treating these what people see as celebrities as human beings, they're no different from me or you, but and when I treat them normal, I treat you back normal,
And
so you ever thought about interviewing any celebrities outside of the region and how you would make that jump?
Yeah, definitely. That's something that I'm gonna do this year for sure. I mean, every move I make is calculated. I mean, doing Sean Paul was not an accident. It's like
Sean Paul is international.
Yeah, so it's like that was the goal now. Vibes Cartel was for the Jamaican artists and for the artists internationally who know him, and Sean Paul was for the other artists. But I just focus on. I mean, I think my target right now is that wherever I am, I try to highlight what I could highlight in that place. And that strategy just worked for me. So if I go to Jamaica, you're going to see the biggest Jamaican artists. So when you see a boy touch in Miami or LA, you don't know. I have no doubt that it will happen,
Right.
Just kind of being patient and working my way up the ranks,
And it will come for sure. Because the power of those links.
Yeah,
just bouncing from one to the other. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, so then just take two people to just get on to the next person,
Yeah, literally.
I'd be real grateful, boy. Like something like that, sit and say like, wait, boy, really? Had these contacts in your phone, man? Like, wait, boy, like I can't believe it. Yeah. The Prime Minister called me this morning. I said, what the hell, boy? Say what? I get through, boy. So them little things, there's really be a humbling feeling, and I try to just, remain as grounded as possible. I try to keep myself in a specific manner. Try to stay out of bacchanal. I don't even post myself. Like I try to.
Yeah, I see that.
I try to stay out of the limelight, stay out of the public light, because I know it's not only my reputation at stake now, but it's people who are featured as well. So I have consideration for their. Of course. I don't want to be in the likes of Vibes Cartel or in the likes of Marshall and then get myself into something that, and I associate with them as well. So I just try to stay in the background and
And the smallest thing could tarnish your career, and you put almost a decade into this.
Boy.
Yeah, almost a decade. You know what I wanted to ask you before, but I forget. Seeing that you saw all this fame and success at a young age, was it hard for you finding or forming genuine friendships? Because I find within the period of time that you been getting famous, is kind of when you're forming a lot of your new friendships and stuff. Like, did you struggle finding people who actually want to be a friend for you? Or I would imagine it have people come in just for clout or there's Daniel. No friends of Daniel for links or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it is hard, bro. It's still hard. And the more famous I get, the harder it gets. But I don't complain, bro. I just try to be the most genuine version of myself that I could be, and constantly working on myself and just trusting that, life will align in a way for me that is unimaginable. So I don't take it on too much, but it is hard. It is hard because, sometimes, these days, one of the hard things is that like a lot of people reaching out to me to ask how I go in, but they really want to interview. So they come with that. So it's like sometimes I get excited because somebody reaching out, hey, Loveless, and then come like, how could I get, so it's like you really want something, really want something from me, so but what I go do, it comes with the territory, and at first it used to bother me because it's like, oh gosh, if I want to do an interview with you, I'll call you, I reach out to you, but don't do me that, and especially something like I don't like to go to parties and things anymore for that reason. Because it's like, while I try and enjoy myself, everybody only coming to ask, do I interview? So it's like sometimes, but it comes with the territory. I respect it. And, as I say, I just working on myself. And I find in different spaces where I feel comfortable. So I do have to be put in uncomfortable situations. Like the gym. I like to go in the gym. So I'm always there. Like nature, I go there, nobody harassing my thing, so it's like I'm trying to find that balance in life right now. I think I'm in the stage of my life where I'm trying to find that balance, and I give thanks for the type of career that I have, in that my job is to show up, interview people, play it out, and that's what I'm doing. But other than that, these days I spend a lot of time with moms, spend a lot of time with myself, spend a lot of time spiritually studying different things, and just on a journey, boy. Just on a journey, self-discovery. That is where I think Daniel is at right now.
Right. And how that spiritual journey started?
That spiritual journey started, I think when my career, I always knew that something was higher at work for me. But then I started to study it a lot more. I started to study different religions. And I started to study just so many things. The cosmos and spirituality and, yoga and, everything. I love to read the Bible, but at the same time, I love to read the Bhagavad Gita, I hope I pronounce it correctly. Yeah. So I just, pull all these different philosophies and, constantly on a journey, I just trying to understand life more. And even talking to people who I feel like have a higher level of understanding and just kind of pulling things. But boy, a lot of spiritual things that work with me. And I'm grateful for it, boy. I'm grateful for the man above, just for just blessing my boy as a blessed fella, And what is just get me these days is everything I think that's happened. And that was the lesson in Singapore. It's like I was in Singapore and I think about that Vibes Cartel interview before it happened. And it just happened. Think about the Sean Paul interview before it happened. And it just happened. So everything I'm thinking about happening. Right. So it's like, what is there to worry about now? So I just trying to tap into that more. That is weird thing I just do these days that does always remind me the higher power at work. It's like I'll go to my bed and if I want to wake up at a specific time, I just visualize it, and every time like clockwork, bro. Every time I open my eye, I say, I wonder if I catch it again. I catch it. That does remind me, that does remind me the power of manifestation, the power of thoughts now. And I just do that to keep myself on track, to understand that anything in this life is achievable now. Just yesterday, I take a nap, say 4 o'clock is the time. Visualize it and go and wake up. See, I wonder if I catch it today, boy. Because that 1-2 times I don't catch it. And I tap you and say, focus. I catch it. I get it.
So you say everything you think about comes to fruition, right? What are you thinking about now?
What I'm thinking about right now is taking my show mainstream and having bigger guests on my show. Like, why not? Like, why we can't have Oprah? Why we can't have Will Smith? Why we can't have Donald Trump? Why we can't have Barack Obama? So it's like, that's what I'm thinking about right now. And the more intensity that I think, bro, it just happened. Like, I wasn't worried about anything. And that's why it's always difficult to answer the question, what's next for Daniel? What's next for Daniel is whatever Daniel thinks about now. And it go happen because I begin to realize, like, when you look at my history, I look at my reputation, everything that I thought about happened now, from the inception of buying the camera. And that's why I feel like my whole spiritual journey started now, buying that camera. And I buy that camera, and I thought about getting the car, and I end up getting the car. I wanted to be somebody influential. Here I am, I feel like I achieved that. I wanted to be somebody looked up to. I think about it happened. I wanted to travel the world. I travel the world. I wanted to go China. Which is like anything I want to do and anything I think about, it has happened. And, sometimes even the things that seem unachievable, even if I think about it in with so much intensity to the point that it makes me feel sad, that is when I know it will happen faster. And Singapore remind me of that now, because I was the end of the year.
Right.
And I remember trying to figure out all kind of ways, how can I get Vibes Cartel on my show? Like, how, bro? Like, how? Like, why it feeling like it unachievable now?
Right.
And I remember I was just leaving there feeling devastated because I DM in him, he not responding. And I even used to reach out to Valiant and the management and Skitty Bang and then before, and it never used to bring me any results now.
Yeah.
And I just left there feeling devastated. So that was talking about the intensity of your thoughts. Go make it happen. And I came back home and it happened, like the universe aligned in a way to allow it to happen to me, for me. And you know, as I say, I credit Samson for sharing that information with me. Yeah. Because Lyman, he didn't have to. You know, he didn't have to share that he was going to do a collaboration with him. And he was just Lyman. And he said, boy, you know, I go in Jamaica and do cartel. I said, you lie. I said, I want to do cartel too. You know? He said, well, come and go.
Seriously.
You lie. And then he put me on to the client who he was dealing with to do it on their behalf, Epic Carnival. And I reached out to them and they was like, yeah, well, okay, go ahead. And I went and I got access to that opportunity. And he didn't have to share that opportunity with me, you know?
Not at all.
So it's a blessing for him to share that information with me. You know, and that's why I look out for him and he is look out for me. And the way that I could, plenty deals, I try to send something his way, he try to send something my way, and yeah, that's my real brother.
And how will they meet? Just through both of you starting? So,
Yeah.
I mean, both of you had to be, I think, the OG's social media content in Trinidad.
Yeah.
I don't think it had much other people besides y'all.
I think
Especially that's still going.
Not to the scale of what
Yeah, I think Crazy Legs and Rudy paved the way.
Rudy.
I mean, it always had somebody who think there was even this guy Panton. I don't know if you remember Panton. He used to say,
he used to make videos
stop
in his
like
kitchen.
man. You know, and then everybody kind of adapt that format. And, you know, so it could always be traced back to somebody, you know, but I can't even think about who was my inspiration. Can't even think about it, but because it just happened so naturally now. But yeah, but me and Samson just meet. He used to do the skits with Ling Ling and thing back in the days, and we just meet through that, and we just instantly hit it off, and that has been my brethren for years, boy. I'm a real good brethren, you know. I call him every day. He's called me every day. He's called me. Tell me, think about this idea. Think if you do a video, I feel like it wasn't too good. I might say, hey, nah, but I feel like it could have come stronger. Yeah, think you go tell me why could I do better, and you know that my brother.
Yeah. What day in your life looking for you like these days?
What day in my life, boy? My life has been real fun, boy. I give thanks for that, boy. I give thanks every day, you know. Just wake up. Whatever time I want to wake up, I wake up. Schedule interviews. I leave. I go and do my interview. I go back home. I go in the gym. I don't play the gym. Always there in the gym, man. Life is really slow and nice, and I like it, you know. You know, it's fast paced in the sense of, you know, yeah, I have my interviews to do. But other than that, bro, I just kind of taking my time with life. I feel like in many parts of my career, I was just rushing. And I never got the time to sit down and embrace moments and, you know, foster good friendships and spend time with my moms and do these different things. So I think at a stage in my life where it's like, I'm so grateful that the format that I have created is an easy one. And that if I had to do 5 interviews back to back, it would be from 10 a.m., 10, 11, 12. And thing. But other than that, I just live in the moment. Plenty of time I just leave my phone home. That way people could never reach me because I realize sometimes I message you, I seen one tick, I say, yeah, bro. I just switch that shit off and leave that home, bro, and live in the moment, yeah. Like how I know I was doing this interview today, I clear my day. So it's like, I wake up there this morning, switch off my phone, respond to what I had to do, leave at home, and I outside. Went to take my haircut, I talk to my back. I just moving slow. When it's time, I went to buy a little lunch, I go back home, I check my messages, I make sure you confirm. Then I leave home, I come here. I have no time for social media, boy. It's like, as I tell you, I like being out of the limelight. I like that. That is why I get to foster the deeper connections. If I get to talk to people in real life and find out what really going on with people. I think people lost touch of real life, boy.
100%.
Talking to somebody and figuring out what's going on with that person, how you feeling, you know, think we could share information and things. So at that point in my life, prioritizing that, and that is why many times I just leave my phone home, schedule what I have to do, which is my interviews, which is the most important thing to me, after myself, and then, do it when I have to do it, and other than that, post my videos, and that is it. That is my life. Really nice, simple, straight to the point.
So nice,
Stress-free. Yeah. Try to create it as stress-free as possible to make sure my mental health where it need to be now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're always on social media, then you only see like good times of everybody else because that's all they're posting. Right?
Yeah, and then what about your good time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also, like, sometimes you need a reminder that it's not always good times, right? So when you talk to people and they're telling you how things actually going,
exactly.
then like, I don't have to compare myself to something up here. Everybody going through the same thing, and then that will feed into like the mellowness of you right now.
And that's why I do like to feed into that's why I do consider myself an influencer, and I never like doing content and get ready with me and dress up. And I don't judge who do it. That is the job, but I personally just never really like it now.
Can't picture Daniel doing that, get ready with it.
Yeah, I really like that kind of vibes,
What impact do you hope to achieve with what you're doing right now?
I think the impact that I really want to have, and I want to work a lot more on this, is just getting people to communicate more now. I think that is the part that I think that people miss from my videos. Like, I stand and I hold a conversation, I don't break eye contact with these people, looking in the eye, and I stand up and I talk to them. And that's why my videos are so long too. You realize sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes it are 2 parts and then I am trying to get people to talk to people, And I hope that through this podcast, people can understand that the impact is beyond me. I just want you to pick up your phone and call your mother and say, hey, how you going? You had a good day? And talk to her.
Yeah.
Talk to your girl and say, girl, how you feeling? How are you mentally right now? Call your brethren, if you have a brethren, and say, bro, hey, going, bro, what was the highlight of your week, bro? Talk to people now. Talk to people. I prioritize that even in my friendships that I have currently. When I talk to people, anybody. I know only friends that I have a little while now, but sometimes new friends, I be asking people, how you going? You good? How are you mentally? You good? You happy? Listen to people. They realize some people are happy. That is fine. Probably might not the answer. But listen to people. And that is what I am trying. That is the impact I want to have. Just talk to people, bro. Talk to people because you never know what impact you could have on a person by listening to them. Like listening. So I just say is like, people consider me a great interviewer, but I'm a great listener. It's just allow people to talk. And it's like, I just know that is my calling because sometimes sometimes I will be in the midst of a conversation, I go pull back a little bit and realize, wait, this person is real talking. And that is good. That is good. Like that is, I realize people be telling me some real things, men telling me how to almost take their life. It's so many things. And it's like people sometimes need somebody to talk to now.
Correct.
And they might look at somebody, they're happy, they're smiling on social media. I have some friends, like I have a friend the other day, she tell them about some things that are going on with her, and then next day she's smiling on Instagram and a filter, and that is proof to me that it's like people be going through things behind the scenes and they only show
any good parts.
They only show any good parts now. So reach out because we all going through the same things,
Correct.
In some degree, somebody going through some financial problem. In some degree, somebody going through a heartbreak. In some degree, somebody grieving from some death or the loss or something. Or in some degree, somebody depressed and they don't know why they're depressed. And I think even me going through my little phases of depression as well has humbled me as well and make me so down to earth because before experiencing those things, I would look at people and like not even understand like why you letting somebody you so bad, like bro, get up and get it or whatever the case. But it's like it has made me so patient with people now because I understand what it is to not have the drive to go in the gym. You don't want to get out of your bed. You don't want to thing. You're not feeling motivated. I understand how that feels like. I understand those days now. So me understanding those days has made me a lot more compassionate towards people and want to just make people feel heard. Sometimes, I be talking to people and sometimes somebody, male or female, go send me a voice note. And by the time I reach 2 or 3 minutes, I say, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, it's so long. Like, no, it's alright. That is cool. That is how we get to know each other. Like, by talking, let me know what's going on with you. That is how I could know what's going on with you. And that how I could give my perspective on it. My perspective could change something. Or I could tell you something and you could tell me back something that might change my perspective on it. So it's like I trying to get people to have real conversations. And probably I'll start saying it in my interviews. So,
Yeah, I think you should.
yeah, because that is actually what I want people to take away from it. That look, these celebrities here, look, there's humans. You understand? And it's not just these celebrities, it's a mother home too. Yeah. She's a human too. It's a girl, it's a man, it's whoever. All this is a man in the street. They have emotions too. That person working KFC, selling, and they might have a bad attitude. They have a reason. Something going on with them. You could ask them if they're having a good day. I went to the gas station today and the lady who, selling the gas, she had to pay. She going to use the bathroom and people so impatient and it's like, why do I have somebody else? And I was like, oh God, the woman uses the bathroom, so you don't use the bathroom too. Yeah. You don't use the bathroom too. Like, let me just be patient with each other and let me just communicate with each other and just uplift each other. No? Yeah, that is the impact that I wanna have, Respect. And to also make people feel good about themselves, like to make people go away feeling great about themselves. And that is what the thing that I love about my interviews and that I love about my audience, because they show so much love, I could do somebody and the things that they say about these people, even the interviews that are probably not the most confident on, because interviews like Vibes Cartel and Marshall, and I know for sure, all right, people go like it because I like these people. But sometimes when I do a business person, sometimes before I put it, I was like, I hope they be nicer. And it always blows me away every time. Like I did Lullaby, build stages, and
that was a nice one.
The amount of love that people show, and it's like, I would have never known that people were so interested in man who builds stages. I do a dentist. People interested, they're like, It's like, I want people to feel good about themselves, and I wanna leave everybody feeling good. That is one of the impacts I wanna have.
Respect. I remember hearing in an interview that, this was back in the day of What You Know, I guess. And you said how you wanted to start a What You Know Institute.
Right.
Like a school. And that's still on the agenda for the future.
Well, boy, with the rebranding, I don't know what might be the next thing, but probably. I think when the show was in a direction of more the trivia and the entertainment and the education, it was more along those lines. But with this new found success, because I was considered like a new career, I think I'm in my early phases now. I figuring out. So it's like I consider myself the second year. How I doing now? Always been a decade. It's for me. It's like the second year. So it's always about constantly figuring out what next? Like what I like to do is like I like when I interview people to see the impact that it has on them now. So it's like, for instance, when I went to St. Martin, I did a guy who sells coconut on the street.
I love that one. That was one of my favorite, actually.
He become like an icon in the country and the ministry call him to do this and that. So it's like, no, I'm trying to figure out how can I have a deeper impact on these people when I do, think for them, whether it be through a foundation or whether it be through setting up something directly for them, so that I could put people on in a more meaningful way beyond fame and beyond views and people just knowing them, but like actually putting people on in that I might interview you and you could go on to become Elon Musk or somebody real influential, just using Elon as an example, but that we say is a singer and you come on and you do something, you could go on to build a successful career off of my platform. So it's like I'm just trying to figure out ways of how I could have a deeper impact on the people that I bring on. But the artists, they get their mileage through. If you're doing a concert, people like your vibes, they will support your concert because they like the interview. With the dentist, I do an interview with her, people want to go by she now because they like she vibes. Lullaby, they might want to build a stage. So it's like that's how they will get a benefit. They're already established. But for the less established people, it is my hope that through my platform, they could get access to bigger opportunities.
Maybe like a registry or something with like, I guess, and like maybe for those small people, put in like a picture, the name, a little description, the phone number, email.
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe a link to a GoFundMe if like things bad.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to figure out what that might look like.
You have any business or investments outside of What You Know?
No, What You Know is my But you know, it's my baby right
Baby,
now.
yeah.
Focus.
But I do intend to use a lot of that money that I'm making from what, you know, to do something. But right now I'm being divinely led. So it's like just allowing everything to flow and kind of happen for me. So when that time is right, I feel like I will know what to do. But right now I just bargain up. I don't go decide what go on with the millions.
Our next soca song.
Yeah, nah. I'm going to spend the millions on this soca song. Nah, good. I real good. I'll even have for Brother Marshall and them.
Oh my God. Okay. Actually, I want to know.
Tell me. Anything you want to know?
If you had to start over tomorrow, no links, you ain't no Marshall, you ain't no Marshall no more. You ain't have no following.
Yeah, call the Prime Minister.
Certified not your friend.
Yeah.
What you would do?
Having all
Or
the,
would you even do the same thing again?
having all the like the camera and everything, just not the connections.
Yeah, you could have the
You
camera.
can have
man.
a camera, man.
I know
Give him the camera.
I know platform. Do you have a platform and followers and things?
Nah, you ain't have no followers. Just like
scratch.
when you had your Facebook with your little bit of followers before you post anything.
From scratch.
What would I do? That's an excellent question, boy. Wow. Having to start over from scratch.
You have the knowledge still, though. I think.
Yeah.
So the knowledge of everything that I did before, but I just don't have it anymore.
You do
Yes.
yeah.
Meaning I don't have the followers, I don't have the connections, I don't have the collaborations.
No sponsors. Starting from scratch.
Boy, I would hit the streets and start doing some interviews, and then wherever come out of them interviews, I try to market it and make something out of it. I think like that's my equivalent of what like how I could build a house. I could interview people. Like I could.
Yeah.
I think I have realized over the years, and when I used to do what, you know, in terms of the trivia questions, is like I probably didn't consider myself a great interviewer, but being able to like interview these people without any like preparation and just being, it's like if I'm thrown into the deep every time now. When I in front cattle face, whatever come to mind in that point in time, is like I could hold a 3-hour long conversation with all here. Like if I had to interview all here, we could talk for 3 hours. We just talk everything. Like I've studied it now.
Yeah.
Like I've studied the study T. I've read many books about psychology. I've read many books about communication. I know how to communicate. I know what to do. Like I even read a book that taught me hacks to keeping a conversation going. So I know what to do to just make our conversation just go forever.
Yes.
So it's like until the person get fed up and they probably don't want to say anything anymore. But so it's like, yeah, I would just kind of rely on going back to doing my interviews and seeing, you know, what I could, when I do that content and I put it out, what I could do, you know. You can't beat me on the consistency. You can't, that I had the consistency and I had the talent in terms of I could interview people. So somebody asked me where's my talent there? Yeah, I didn't know the answer. I think I figured out the answer now. I can interview people. I'm a great interviewer. I think I'm gonna also.
That didn't come to your head at first.
Yeah, it did, you know, because I didn't consider it a talent now. But now coming to think of it, it had to be a talent, you know, because you know, in times where it's like somebody even tried to do a short interview with me, it's like I could see how structured the format this be sometimes. Somebody try to, what is the biggest lesson you learn? And they go down that route now. But with me, I don't go down that route. I'm divinely led now. And it's just like I know, just I'm a talent I feel there. To interview, I'm a great interviewer, I'm a great listener.
Own it, man.
And yeah, like that. So I'll just go back to interviewing people. I actually think I'm gonna do a master's in journalism.
Really?
As well. Just to have it and just to know more about it. And then probably a damn doctorate. Do everything. As I understand, too, as a human, you could do everything too, you know.
You do anything you want.
Yeah, anything you want, yeah. But I'm not gonna sing a soca. That one of the anythings that
for those out there who may want to start interviewing people like you, obviously they ain't go start off with Marshall. Even people like us who we not know Marshall on, I mean, we've had some big names and you as well. What small tip you would give us and people out there? I know you said listening, but what are the tips you would give them for having a better interview? or interaction with somebody?
My first step would be to, to listen to what the person say and try to pay attention to those cues now. Like I study that to the T. So I listen to every single word that person say, and that I even pay attention to the facial expression, so I understand what makes them excited. So that's the one thing, is like listening is the first key now. And I see a lot of interviewers make that error when they're doing interviews. They don't listen. And then they just try to get to the next question. It's an error that I made as well. And in no way I'm trying to make myself sound like the creator, the connoisseur of interviewing, and I'm the, in no way I'm trying to, but I consider myself to be relatively good at what I do, and I've realized that listening is an important thing. So I could feed into that person and give them the things and give them the boost to the things that they are excited about. As one, listening, and then two, affirming the things that people say and trying to make them understand that you understand what they say. Because sometimes a person could say something and we could just be like, okay, I get it, and then we move on to the next question. But sometimes it makes a person more excited when you regurgitate their story back to them. It makes them understand that you understand. And it's also something that I read about. So there is probably a professional term for it, which is why I say I want to study journalism, so I could understand the actual terms. What I think happens to me is that I accidentally do things that are like law in that world. But reaffirming what that person says, smiling, gestures, studying about your gestures, that's another thing. So listening, affirming, giving gestures to show that you understand what that person is saying, to kind of keep them going, Next thing, silence. Sometimes silence makes a person talk more. Yeah. It's like if you keep silent, it's like
you gotta fill the
they gotta say something.
So it's like you was just silent there. I'm keeping talking. So you get more out of that person providing that silence. And I think, my final tip, because there are many tips that I could give, is not being afraid to ask certain questions. Ask the question and shut up after and let the person answer. And I think that this is something that I've perfected as well. Like if I want to ask a question, I ask it and I hush and answer. I'm not laughing or trying to. And I used to do it before now. It's like with somebody soca artist, so I'd be like, so tell me about the soca mafia thing. You think it's real? Because you hear people say, and then because you're shy, you get backtracking on it. So tell me about the soca mafia. Is it real? Shut up and let them answer. They go answer. Say something, So that's another thing, being able to ask the questions confidently, holy ground, and just allow them to answer. Because chances are they're not gonna see what I really want to answer. That they go answer. So that's just some of the tips. Eye contact is the next thing as well. Trying to hold that eye contact, and they say the eyes is the window to the soul. So look into the person's eyes and show them that you're listening to them. Some of the tips I could think about.
Yeah, man. I hope all it take some of that in.
and look at other interviews too. That is another one. Look at that. I mean, that is sometimes all I just do all day. Like wake up, I watch an interview. Always looking at an interview to try to pay attention to like what do they really do. Like I just watch interviews beyond. I be watching interviews back from 1990, back from 1998. I study my craft. So it's like, no, I study this thing so deeply that I now take these principles that I learn now and execute it. It's like I just rely on the, experience of those before me and those who went before and trying it. That's why I'm confident that, and there's another thing that I think that is make like a cut above the rest. Is like I'm confident that I could put anybody in front of my face and I could interview them and not intimidated by the person. So it's never put Chris Brown right in front of my face now. I'm dealing with it. No problem. I could do it right now. I'm ready for it. Like Vibes Cartel, like Donald Trump, I could do it. Anybody, I could do it. And it will be the best interview that person has on the internet. That is how confident I am in just myself, because it's just communication. Like, that is it. It's just communicating with another human being. Yeah. So I watch Donald and say, hey, Donald, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And that is it.
Yeah. And you say a study interview. Who's your favorite interviewer?
Who's my favorite interviewer? That's an amazing question, boy. Wow. I think, you know, I only have one right answer, bro, and that's myself. Like, that was a great question, and I honestly not saying that from a egotistical perspective, but nobody came to mind but me. Now. I think about it. I went through all the lists of them, and it's me, bro. I is the best at this thing. That is it, and that is just the mindset. And it's like, while other people may be good, they can't be as good as me. And once I hold that mindset, other people might not agree, but it's like, that was an excellent question, and I'm glad they asked it, because it's like, you now point to me in a way that you don't even understand, because that's how I learn. I learn through people as well. So even when I do interviews with people, like I would watch back my interviews and study the interview. Not even how I did in the interview, but the content of what the person is saying, and I learned something. So it's like, my answer, like that wasn't my answer before today, because I was about to ask the question. But you asked that, and I appreciate you so much for that now, because it's like, that put my confidence is important. That put my confidence on a different level there now, in understanding that, whoa, I actually am my favorite interviewer. And it's like, yeah, you know, put me up big time. I appreciate that way, brother.
Put up yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. Because now I just look at myself in that light, and I know that will change a lot of things for me. So pick up you, boy, bro. I'll never forget this thing.
Big up you. But you know, it seems like you're in a good place, a real good place. You know, things going well for you, career-wise and personally as well. Yeah, anything you're struggling with that you may not, that your fans might not know about?
What am I struggling with right now? That's a good question. Struggling with my social media use, you know, just trying to, like I always, every time I post an interview. And I think all creators go through this as well. It's like, when I post a new video, always looking to see what people say, constantly checking, you know. So I think that's my only struggle. But other than that, I'm doing really well. Not to say that I didn't have down times, and not to say that I didn't come from, you know. So I'm not trying to paint myself as like perfect.
Yeah, of course.
But
everybody hear the whole story. So.
But at this point in time in my life, I think that
in a good place.
And a real good place. And I'm trying to keep it there. And it's like, what changed that for me is just like, just understanding that, bro, like you gotta serve yourself. Like when I started to just serve myself, and when I say serve myself, I mean taking care of myself, going in the gym, prioritizing my mental, prioritizing improving that always, prioritizing reading about things that I could improve it more, prioritizing on living in the moment. Like that's a big thing too. Like I try not to be here or here in the past or the present. Like I try to be like right here. And that helps me a lot. So the only thing that could come to mind is just like excessive social media use. And that is why, as I tell you, I just leave my phone home a lot to prevent that. Because sometimes, you know, I drive in and I want to check, you know, in the gym, I want to check my phone. So it's like, I just try to put that down. And sometimes when you really put it into perspective, when I do that sometimes and I go back home, it's like I have 2 notifications, I have 2 messages. Nothing really, you know, nothing, you miss nothing now. Yeah. So just waste time, you know. So I like to spend that time with myself, you know. I drive in and I hear, and the best ideas here formulating. And if you're distracted, you have limited distractions. And I think that social media is a big distraction now, because you're just consuming other people's life. Yeah. So, you know, these days I'm trying to just focus on me and focus on myself. And yeah, bro, I think I am in an optimal stage in life, and I love to be here, and I just trying to understand life more. That is why I think Daniel is just a guy on a journey. If you ask me to describe myself, just on a journey of self-discovery every day. Discovering new things, like how it helped me discover something new, you know? So, yeah, boy.
Happy for you, bro.
Thanks, boy, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you know, anybody who looking at this and anybody having a hard time, you know, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, you know, do something, journal it or something. It's like in my hard times, journaling really helped me. Yeah, journaling just getting all the thoughts off of your mind, and then even understanding, like spiritually, I understand that before I am anything else, I am just I am. So it's like what you put after that is like you responsible for that, you know. And I like remember that everybody listening out there, like remember that. Like before I am even Daniel, I am just I am, which means I could define myself to be anything. So it's like you could change anytime. If you decide tomorrow you want to be something else, I am disciplined, or I am punctual, or I am, and you want to change it to that, you could be that now. And that's the power of I am now. It's eternal, it's endless, it's limitless. Like I am is limitless now. So that's why I tend to try to not even limit myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't focus too much on setting too much of goals and limits and things. It's just like I try not to limit myself too much, understanding that I am is so limitless. So if it's limitless, then like sometimes I allow it to be limitless. See how much you can achieve. Yeah. And you never know how far you might make it, you know.
Exactly. Love that.
I like that.
Yeah, I done this.
Yeah, cool.
This was real good though.
Right.
Like it?
It's 15. Yeah, how you feeling?
Real good about it. Yeah. It was real nice, man. We talk about all of that things.
Yeah.
You ever get out all that?
Nah, you know. I never do a podcast so long now. Never do a podcast.
I did a podcast with these, I think they're from Jamaica or something.
Yeah, with the fix, yeah.
Yeah, the Fix.
I didn't even think about
That's
that.
a more kicksy style
Yeah.
too. So.
You remind me of this guy from the Diary of the CEO, Diary of a CEO podcast. No.
Yeah.
Can I remind
What's
me
his
of him?
name?
Yeah.
Next red man.
Steven.
Yeah, he's a red man.
Okay, guys, that brings us to the end of episode 15 of the Odyssey Podcast. Today we had the pleasure of sitting down with Daniel Loveless. Told us about his entire journey, gave some good tidbits to all you guys out there who may want to also pursue content creation. And Daniel, I just want to say thank you so much for
Thanks,
taking
bro.
the time out your busy schedule to come on to us and talk with a good episode. And we really appreciate you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys as well, the work you're doing. And thank you for a platform to, share my story and to hopefully impact somebody, even if it's one person. So thank you. Thank you so much. You all doing an amazing job, man. If you didn't know, you know.
I appreciate
Thanks,
it. And to you guys, our loving viewers, we really, really, really appreciate your support. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. You guys always reach out to us when we're out. You talk about it, talk about how much you like it, talk about how you appreciate how genuine we are and how much the guests like and enjoy themselves on the episode. And, we appreciate all the kind words. If you enjoyed this episode in particular, we would love if you could like, comment, share, follow us on the Odyssey Podcast on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube if you're new. And also, you could follow Daniel on Instagram
sir.
at Daniel Loveless. Look out for his content. He's doing big things and he'll be doing even bigger things in the future.
Thank you, man. Yeah. We out.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
Dinos.
We out.
Next time.
Nice.